Bullets are unbeatable.
Anyone can use a weapon, but the ninja is a weapon. Behold!
He's not so tough.
Welcome back to the Tiny Room Hanger. This is Mike. Today I want to talk to you about a few things that I've recently picked up. Well, I guess over the past few months, but these guys just came in last week from Amazon, and the packages were damaged. I'm going to show that here in a bit. And with that, I opened it up. Now, I'm going to have a link down below where you can get these from Amazon, but I suggest probably not buy them from Amazon because the standard ones are sold out. Now they're charging $40 there, but maybe they'll get them back in stock and they'll be back to the $25 price point. But I'm going to take a look at these guys here too and just give you my thoughts on this whole line. I've got mixed feelings about it. It's not all good, it's not all bad, it's mixed. And same thing over here, I've got mixed feelings. More good, more positive fuzzies on these guys, but we're going to talk about all of this stuff and more coming up. All right, so here is the packaging, and looking at this, I kind of like how they have it set up. We have all these accessories in here. We can still see the figure. We can look at the paint apps and decide which one we like the best, so that looks really good. There's some artwork down here, which is great. This is a little bit different than this kind of artwork, so done by different people. There is the side of it, and it's going to be quite interesting when we get to the other side. Here's the back, which it seems to be matching. There's a lot of good stuff going on with the artwork, but then we get into the Amazon crushing of this, the poor packaging. I mean, this thing is even rounded off. And this one here is crushed outward, so one's inward, one's outward. Like they could connect. They connect together because they were both crushed in shipping. Good thing I bought two of each, or else I wouldn't have one with good packaging, right? Now, there are some remedies to this. You could spend about 10 minutes kind of applying some pressure in here if you wanted to, or you could build another box or something that would possibly give it a little bit more pressure there, but it's always going to have sort of an indentation, so the packaging is almost more or less ruined at this point. So I don't know. I mean, it's going to be loose, but I keep all my boxes. I have every piece of packaging since 1996, and this frustrates me, but anyway. All right, I want to start out talking about Spirit. Now, I think Spirit is a very good figure. They did a pretty good job with him, and it's a nice representation of the original. Looking at him side by side with the original one from back in the day, one of the things that really stands out is he doesn't have this cloth, whatever you would call this thing here, and that's a bit sad for me. I would have liked to have had this, because in my mind, it's just one of the accessories that goes along with Spirit. Also on the backpack. Now, the backpack, it's similar, but it feels like more real world here than what they got going on with that. But still, I wouldn't be against a classic backpack and a classic set, which kind of makes me think, yeah, we probably will get a classic one down the road with those classic accessories. I'm still not disappointed in these accessories, but really, they do sort of capture the character really well. Looking at the Freedom figure, now it's kind of cool that we have these animals, and the fact that this is not costing like $35. It's 25. Well, 25 is crazy, but still, what you get with this articulated head, some wings, some swappable wings, movable legs, and feet and stuff. So this is a nice little character in itself, and for the price, I like this. This made me think we get a Mutton Junkyard and Law and Order and all them, and we get decent stuff. Maybe I'm wrong with that because the Snake Eyes one's $40-something, but who knows? Maybe just Shipwreck and his Polly want a cracker, you know. But this looks pretty good. Let's see what it looks like with the bigger wings on it. So let's take these off, and they are ball jointed. And let's put the other ones on. This is more indicative of a Freedom, but because he's free to fly. That looks really good. And you know, you can mount him on his backpack with these pegs, and so that's kind of cool too. So I do like that. I really like this. I'm gonna carefully do this off camera. So here Freedom is about to take flight. Obviously he'd be perched with those other ones, but it's a nice little way to just kind of move him around and show what he looks like. Really cool, really good inclusions right there. Excellent. And it seems like all of the Joes have about the standard articulation, you know. It feels hard to go out too much further than that, but anyway, double jointed elbow right here. We got the waist Ab Crunch. They're changing this, I think, with Bazooka. And then out to here, back to here, 90 at the knee. Nice and tight. So I want to keep my joints tight because I want them to be able to stand, all that kind of stuff. So looking really good. Articulation, I think they're all going to be about the same. So next we're getting into Storm Shadow, and Storm Shadow by far is my favorite A Real American Hero G.I. Joe character of all of them. The character is cool, the look of him is cool, everything about it is exciting. And if you get almost every figure from back in the day, it was super played with. Now, I do want to point out that I'm going to be picky with this guy. As good as he is, I'm going to point out some of the differences. But you see with both of these, we have a more classic look than what we got here. Although this feels very, very classic. There's a couple of things that I don't like starting out that I'll talk about. First off, I think this is removable, so I don't really care. So that's not a big deal. But I wish I could have removed these. Maybe I still can. I don't know. But I'm not big on these guards there. And I think I'm going to like the retro one a little bit better. But aside from those, I like every single thing about this. Well, there's one less thing. I was hoping these ninja stars were removable. I don't know why they're not. So they're not removable. But anyway, getting into it, let's get rid of these guys and take a closer look at him. So accessories, he comes with a completely unnecessary hood, but hey, it's a throw-in, whatever. He does have the bow and the arrow. We're going to get into that. And oh, my bow fell off my vintage one. And then 2 swords, and one's long, one's short, kind of like we had before with the original vintage, kind of like we have all along. So really cool stuff. Now I do like how this sheaths into here, so we can put the swords away and get them out of the way, and so that's great. And exactly like we had back in the day, except this one is a full sheath, it fully sheaths in, as opposed to these other ones that they it's kind of open-ended, so it's a little bit different, and it's from the other direction too. So still kind of cool though overall. Now with this bow, it's kind of a compound bow, and I think that like you could bend those bit, but I would not advise that. It just fits kind of in his hand, nice and easy. Something along those lines, kind of how he would handle it. Now we can store this stuff on his backpack. You could put this in here, and then as you push it in, it should kind of hold in place and not fall out, so we don't have the problem. It blends in perfectly with the rest of those, so you really only get one arrow, but it looks like you have a whole sheath of them and all that kind of stuff. Then this here plugs onto the back, and it's not the greatest plug-in, but let's get that plugged in there. It goes on just like this. I want to make sure off camera that I do it right, so it's not falling off the whole time. Okay, there we go. And so looking at him overall, super classic. I guess we'll toss the hood on, and then we'll toss the hood. That's what he looks like. He's going to Grandma's house. Yeah. So looking at his head sculpt, he looks really good. That is a great looking head sculpt. I mean, I think people try to say they've used it on the last one. I guess we'll look here in a second. But the fact that this looks classic, it works. And, you know, he's got the same articulation all the other figures do. So it's really no need to go through articulation. But I don't know, I kind of think he's got a little bit more going on in the shoulders area. But it's interesting how we have this cut out right here for the sleeves. And yes, he is sleeveless, and that's awesome, which he should. The tampograph is amazing. It's perfect. There's no issue with this tampograph, the Cobra symbol. And again, I did say I would like these to come off. Maybe one day we'll get that. We're just not there. We're not to that level just yet. Down here with this belt, it could have just been a black belt and everyone would have been fine. Or it could have just been painted on too. Instead, it's a whole other piece, and it has like part of the clothes down below. Now, I do believe that down the road, you can look at it right now and see that it's whiter than the rest of them, but it might stay whiter than the rest of them because I believe it's painted. So when you paint plastic versus dyed plastic, especially white, it almost never matches. So yeah, there's the bicep. So I don't think I touched on that before. Looking down below, we've got really classic look down here. So I mean, I think he looks fantastic all the way around. He works really well all the way around. But now let's see how he looks next to a bunch of his buddies. Here he's compared to some other ninjas. This is the first version that they came out with the Arctic whatever. And funny is I had the vintage version, and I was like, that's a Storm Shadow. Okay, whatever. So this is my Storm Shadow. This was the articulated ninja one. I think they call it articulated ninjas. But this one is, I think, the one that Foosh sold. So most people use that for a stand-in or whatever. But I never got around to opening the white one. This is my son's here. And so it looks pretty cool, but this, you can't deny how beefy this guy is and how he just looks so much more the part. Now, obviously, this guy's not a white uniform and gi, and he's not having the Cobra symbol and all that kind of stuff, but it was an excellent stand-in for the longest time. All right, here he is with Spirit next to Zartan and Snake Eyes, so you kind of can see how they fit in. And this is, it doesn't look this bright, except for on the camera. Just straight up, it doesn't look like it's super bright, but on the camera, it's picking it up as bright. Anyway, this looks really good. I like the direction that we're going, that Hasbro's going. They're doing a really good job. My table's not perfectly flat. Anyway, they all look great. I like the direction right now that we're going, and so I look forward to all of the future releases from Classified, as long as they keep going in this direction. And I don't know, are we going to get remakes of the earlier ones that don't look super classic? Well, I hope not for a while. I hope they just keep giving us new characters, and that's the direction I want us to go. And for you scale junkies out there, this is how he scales with the MMC version of Azalea, the RC, and Nicey from, this is the KO version of the Big Firebird. Scale. So next up, I'm going to talk about these, the Hasbro Pulse, extremely super expensive, in fact almost as if not more expensive than classified figures, O-ring figures. So I have a lot of thoughts and beliefs about this, and now that I've got them, I'm a little bit less excited about this whole line and the direction they're going. First of all, the number one reason why people want these is for the packaging, but it is super flimsy. Like, it warps just existing in the world. It exists, so it warps because it's so thin. I mean, I don't know how many microns or however you measure this, but super thin. Oh, and it feels like it's already lifting. Come on, man. It's already lifting. The bubble is super huge, like massive huge. This does not feel like a vintage figure. I mean, I guess that's the goal. If you want a vintage figure, go spend $600, $1,000, whatever they're going for right now to get the vintage figure. Okay, good point. But this does not feel like a vintage figure at all. So this is extremely disappointing for $43. Now, I bought two sets and it was $90 something. So if they go on sale, you're not allowed to buy another cheaper set to kind of like cut the cost or whatever. Obviously, cheaper ones I can open, but, or, you know, pick the one that's the best. Here we go with the Commando Snake Eyes. Now, another thing I want to point out is that these have a matte finish to them. They're not shiny. They don't match. I'm okay with the lack of accessories here, but they want to make it up with this box of them at the bottom, and I guess you have to destroy the packaging even further to get the other accessories out that I don't think anybody asked for. I don't need them. I don't need extra accessories to keep these things sealed. So I just think all around, these need to be $12.99 in Walmart's, or if they're going to do it on Pulse, since they don't have to cut Walmart in, $10 each. I don't see why they can't do that. Why they can't do it. Get rid of this nonsense. $10 each, just straight up. I don't know. I can't figure it out. Let's do a quick comparison to this. And it's nice and bright and white versus kind of like this is a little bit faded, as you can see. But you get all the weapons and accessories from back in the day. And if you want to pop those out and put them on here, even the weapons and accessories look a little bit different. They're dull versus a shiny. I don't know why that is. Why is it so? Maybe this is painted head to toe versus this being just straight up plastic for the majority of it. I don't know. But I would rate them a 6 out of 10. If you want to get them just for the figure, I bet you it'd be just fine. It'd be perfectly fine out of your army. It looks like Fun School for the most part. So, and I like the look of Fun School and the paint of the Fun School. The Fun School paint looks a little bit more vibrant than I say an original one like this. But I'm disappointed with this. I don't know how far this O-ring thing's gonna go. Keep going off camera there. I do want to point out that I do like what for what do we have, $18, so about the same price, $18. We get this guy here. This is from Super 7 for the reaction line. But at the end of the day, I like this one, the figure itself, a lot more. But I like the packaging on this one a lot. So keep this one in the packaging, open this one and play with it, I guess. I don't know. Display this one. So I do like this figure more than what Super 7 did. So I will admit that. Because the Super 7 lack of articulation, all that kind of stuff. But I still like the charm of the Super 7 figure. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the Beastman and Trapjaw from the Masterverse line, and I gotta say something. This is the new Eternia, and this is the Revelations, sort of. But I'm not collecting these because I like the Revelations. I'm just trying to not spend $200 a figure on classic figures and have these as stand-in fill-ins until we either get something more classic, or if this is all we get, then I'm glad I picked this up. So that's my thought process on all of this, and I do not want it to match Revelations at all in the slightest, any way, shape, or form. I want it to match what I saw on the cartoon back in the day, and I believe that consists of about 78 to 91% of collectors. So looking at Beastman here, I was able to score an extra one here. I like to keep one sealed and one in the package, one open, one loose. And the thing I want to point out here is once you take all of his stuff off, you can make him look a lot more classic than he originally comes, and you try to make him look a lot more like the original vintage figure and the original Filmation and all that kind of stuff. But there's some major flaw here, which I've seen other people talk about this, is that this is more of a brown and the rest is more orange. So whether or not it's all brown with like a coating over it and they just didn't coat this, or they overcoated this, I don't know. I'm not really sure. But aside from that, that's my first biggest complaint. My second biggest complaint, I think he's just too big. I would have liked him more slender, more like the Filmation. Now, past that, I think the head sculpt works really well for him. The fact they include this piece, we can have a classic look. I like that. I do. I don't like this because I would have liked this thing here to be an extra piece that you can just take off or something. You could possibly turn the loincloth around. You could do a heavy modification of the loincloth piece, which I'm not willing to do. So I'm just going to live with whatever this thing is for the time being. But these look pretty good. I would have liked more vibrant colors on them too. I think it's a little bit too muted. I would kind of like the vibrant colors of Beastman. So maybe we'll get another one down the road. I don't know if 2023, if Super 7 gets it back, that would be, you know what, if Mattel lost it and Super 7 got it back, that wouldn't be the end of the world. To tell you the truth, I wouldn't be mad at all, because it's slow going right now, and we're just getting like 60%, 70% of what we want out of each figure. But he's okay like this. Now he does come with all these other things which I've taken off, I've stripped off of him, and I'll just leave it in the box, I guess. So I'm not really excited about that, but he has a huge spiked club, which is, it's kind of cool. It's kind of gnarly. And then he has a very classic whip, but I do like, it looks very premium too. It's a classic yet premium look to the whip. It's not, you can't pose it. It's not a posable whip like I would think that we would do these days in a higher end figure, especially when it's 40th anniversary. But anyhow, I don't think he's that bad. He's going to be my fill-in for now. Maybe now, maybe 10 years. Who knows? This might be my Beastman that's on my shelf for 10 years. Or maybe I'll catch me a Classics one on a good deal. Thank you very much, Mr. Roboto. He's not Roboto. He is a Trapjaw. Now, the thing is, as I stated before, I'm trying to make these look as close to Classics as possible. Well, as close to Filmation. In fact, some of the Classics aren't even as close to Filmation as I would like. So, we need to fix that. Every time I see anything from the Super 7 Filmation, I love it. I don't know if they made one of these or not, so if they did, I missed it. Definitely missed it. But this guy looks pretty good. Actually, I'm pretty pleased with him, except for one major flaw. This head is terrible. This head is just ridiculously awful. I mean, maybe he has his tongue out the whole time in Revelations and we just don't know it. I don't know. So I've been actually plotting this. The vintage head is significantly larger than this. So I put the vintage head on him. Took a ridiculous amount of modification of both the head and the figure itself. And as you can see, it's called old school resourceful modification, but you can still get all the articulation you want. And you did not damage the original figure. And I actually got this head for free. I was like, Toy Base 10, my buddy Steve. I was like, toss this in my deal. He's like, yeah, just take it. It's just a part. It's just, I don't care. A head to Trapjaw, original vintage one, and it looks good. In fact, it holds up today The greens almost match. It is, yeah. I've been planning this for, what, 6 months since we found out this thing even exists, and it works. Now, there's a couple of good things about this, a couple of bad things about this, but if it wasn't for this head sculpt, I'd recommend this as, you know, as good, or, you know, fill in for classics, unless you're willing to do a head sculpt, get a classics head or something. But with this, I do like the fact that he comes with his accessories, and his accessories work. They're upgraded from what I remember from back in the day, which is pretty cool too. And I don't even think the classics Trapjaw is great. I just think it's okay from what I've seen in pictures, because of course I don't have it. But I don't like this belt. I wish it clipped, these clips were right here and not at the side. So I think that's bad. At least you can push it to the back or something, or maybe to the front, so that his arms can still go down. So that works okay. And I'm okay with the length of this. I like all these, of course, a little shorter, a little bit more filmation, but and I think this is just a little bit too exaggerated on the kneecaps, but it's okay. It's okay. Now the green here doesn't match this green, but this green almost matches the original vintage green. And overall, though, it's a pretty good figure. I mean, this one's like a 7. Once he's got a new head, he's a 4 with this head. Swapping heads gets him up to a 7 in my book, I would say, as getting close to what you're going to get with filmation. Comes with all this stuff in here, and I had a theory about something. Like, everyone's saying this is worthless stuff nobody wants, with this robe, which I'm not going to put on him, and this stuff. I mean, this extra hand's okay, but this stuff might actually become pretty popular down the road for people to have extras if some of the other characters get dressed up in this whole motherboard looking garb, and those characters don't come with it. So if other characters end up putting all that on, Evil In or something, you know, then maybe, who knows what's going to happen. But maybe having extra of that will help for display. People would want that. So maybe those will be in high demand down the road. So here they are, kind of in a classic-esque display. You tell me if you think that sort of fits in. Does that work? Do they look good together? Fit in with classics? I think it fits in. I think it works. So I hope you enjoyed my quick look and my thoughts at all of these figures. You know, the thing is, I don't open all the mainline releases so much. I just open the ones that I want to display and all that. Like, I still haven't opened this guy yet. I still haven't opened this guy yet. And so, like, I don't review everything as it comes in. As you can see, I like to keep my stuff in the package, and if I do open it, I still want to have good package, but I open the ones with the worst package. That's always been my theory in life. But looking at this, I think that Spirit is awesome. I think that the Storm Shadow is great, but the kind of retro version is going to be even better. Now, none of them are perfect, but I think that sadly, the future iterations are still going to be a little bit better. These guys here, I mean, they're not bad, but the packaging is really what most people want out of it. And of course, yeah, they do want the O-ring figures, but most people want to keep it on the package that I know. And the packaging is very flimsy, lifting, easily damaged. And then these guys, well, you know, we're getting some better and better stuff coming from Mattel. I think that every company, Hasbro with the Classified and Mattel with the Masterverse, are understanding that collectors want classic, and they're giving us what we want. And of course, if kids are right there, they see the classic stuff looks pretty cool too. They're gonna know how cool the classic stuff is. But anyway, I'm curious what you guys think about all of these releases. Am I on the money or am I way off? Hey, I'd like to hear it in the comments below. Like and subscribe to Deer Hanger out.
I am suspicious too, Freedom. There is something strange about Dr. Metier. Still, you serve the evil of Cobra.
Don't let him sound the alarm.
Go, Freedom! Get help! Ha! Freedom!
We shall meet again, Spirit. We shall meet again.